is up for three.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Emirates Arena here in Glasgow, a historic day for British basketball. The very first game here live on BBL TV. I'm Daniel Routledge, with me is Mark Woods. Mark, it's an exciting day for the whole league.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to be here, isn't it? First game of the season, first game on BBL TV. And a look at two teams that did very well last season. Glasgow finishing third, Surrey finishing fourth. The Rocks, the last team in the BBL to get underway tonight. So perhaps we'll see a little bit of what they have in store in terms of a title campaign this year.
It's a fantastic venue here at the Emirates Arena. Big crowd in. They put on a really good show for the home fans, the Rocks, and they're expecting good things from their team this season, hoping to get off to a flying start.
Well, certainly if you look at the ambitions of the arena here and the ambitions of this club, it's been 11 years since Glasgow Rocks won a major trophy. And speaking to their team, speaking to the coaches and players this week, determined that they're going to try and make this year the challenge. And you look at the team they've brought in, it's a roster that's built for what they hope will be success.
And at the other end of the floor, we have Surrey United, rebranded over the summer. Big changes there. They got off to a tricky start, but in some ways it's very much like a new club starting over.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at last weekend against Worcester, possibly the most difficult start they could have had, a 56-point defeat. And we spoke to their head coach Jack Majewski before the game. He's hoping to add a few players in the coming weeks to try and bolster that squad, but they are young, none of the players with BBL experience, and it is always, as we knew, Daniel, going to be an early learning curve for them.
And if we look around the BBL, we've got about a minute actually to tip off, so let's get into the team rosters and have a look at the Glasgow Rocks. And there's plenty of familiar faces like Sterling Davis, the player coach, EJ Harrison, Gareth Murray. Ches Marks was the league's leading scorer last year for Cheshire. Daniel Northern led the BBL in rebounding. Plenty of experience as well as talent.
Well, all the pieces are there, you would think, for a title challenge this season. Perhaps what they've been lacking in the seasons previous is a dominant big man. Sterling Davis told me that's what he's always wanted. Now he's got it. And they've got that scoring punch in Marks. Gareth Murray emerged for Great Britain over the summer. We knew what he can do. Now everyone else knows. For them, they think they have the puzzle there that they can be put together to challenge for the BBL title.
And if we look at the other end of the floor, it's Surrey. They're at the total opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to experience. I mean, you just mentioned it. None of the team have played in the BBL before last weekend. They're a little short-handed. As you say, they're hoping for a couple of more European players to come in. They've had issues with trying to get American players in. It's a very quick learning curve for this young squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week we saw Ignas Sinjanas, Lithuanian, a pedigree, has played professionally in Germany before. He was the only guy that made an impact. They'll need more from him tonight. But as we heard before the game from their staff and their players, they need other people to step up.
Well, the fans, as is traditional here, getting on their feet to start the game. They're always standing at the Emirates Arena, and we're about to get underway. It's the first game of the season for the Rocks. United started with defeat at home to Worcester last weekend, and we are off and underway. And the first ever game live on BBL TV. We'll start with the home side, the Rocks, looking for the opening score. The fans stay on their feet until they get it, so they do like an early basket. Daniel Northern going inside has it knocked away, and that's one of the things that Coach Majewski was saying before the game when I was talking to him is inside they're a little undersized. They've got to try and find a way of containing a guy like Northern.
Well, certainly it is muscle, and you see there as he goes up inside. They don't have that big enforcer in the middle. That's something he's looking to bring in the weeks to come. But they're going to struggle with that. How do you counter it? Well, you're going to have to throw bodies at him, maybe try and get him in foul trouble. But early on, problems for Surrey United.
And important, you feel, for them to try and get off to a good start after that disappointment of last week, to try and get some early points on the board. Shot doesn't go for Tamayo, but they do get to reset, and Robinson has it out on the three-point line. Here's Tamayo again. That's a poor pass that Murray almost picks off, does pick off, and away comes E.J. Harrison. And Mark's going to the basket. And talk just a moment about Gareth Murray. What a tremendous summer he's had, going from, he wasn't anywhere near the GB team at the start of it, and then he ends up playing for them in Eurobasket.
Yeah, tremendous tenacity for him. Was cut from the squad at one point, got called back in and took his opportunity, starting 4 games, and including 2 of the first games at Eurobasket. And this season, Sterling Davis says, I want him to step up and be a guy who can be an MVP of this league. That's the challenge they've set him.
Surrey looking for their first score through Tamayo, but it doesn't go. And the Rocks leading this one early on after 90 seconds. Ches Marks, who was league's top scorer, been around for a long time, tremendously experienced. Marks, here's Murray driving to the basket. And you get this feeling that actually this first month of the season, he should be riding a crest of a wave.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing with much more confidence now. A player that perhaps didn't believe that he was capable of playing that international level, and seeing him a few games, going up against Marc Gasol in 1 game for Spain. He didn't back down, was very confident, was actually stepping up and telling his teammates what to do, and that's a sign of a player, I think, that can elevate himself further this season.
Northern, we talked about his rebounding. He's also a tremendous shot blocker, super athlete as well as being tall. He's already got a couple of blocks on the board already today. Is that a shot clock violation? Yeah, nice drive to the lane, but they didn't get the shot up in time there. And the violation called against Surrey, who's yet to score in the opening couple of minutes.
One of the things Surrey worked on in practice this week following that game against Worcester was poise, trying to cut down in the turnovers, trying not to let their heads go down when things were going against them, and to try and be a little bit more positive. Let's see if they can manage that here when they're off to an uncertain start.
Robinson hands over to Dusha and back again. Well, that was the thing, talking to Coach Majewski before the game, as the 3-ball goes up and goes in. Surrey's first points on the board. He said, we played all right against Cheshire the week before in pre-season, but then suddenly we couldn't even inbound the ball from the end line against Worcester last week.
Well, we know there Andy Tamayo that had that 3-pointer there. He has got that outside range, and that's really what they're going to have to rely on tonight. But there, the Rocks fighting fire with fire.
Ches Marks replies, and the Rocks lead is back out to 6, 9-3. After the first 3 minutes here in Glasgow. Tamayo with the pull-up is short. Rebound pulled in and shot in the corner. Doesn't go for Signanis, and Davis does well to keep that in bounds. Marks is out ahead of the break. Has Northern with him if he needs him. He doesn't need him. Ches Marks will lay it in for 2, and he'll go to the line for the bonus.
That's the scoring that Ches Marks can bring to your team offensively there, and that's the specific reason why Sterling Davis went out and recruited him this summer. 22 points, as you said earlier, the league high for last season in the BBL. He has got that athleticism. But I spoke to him this week and I said, does it matter to you winning that scoring title? He said, well, no, the thing is this year we have got other players. Cheshire last year, sometimes I had to do it by myself. This year we've got E.J. Harrison, we've got Gareth Murray, Sterling Davis, Daniel Northern. He's unafraid to take a step back if that's what can help deliver a championship.
And you certainly feel he'll do well to lead the league in scoring, as you say, because he won't get as many looks as he did last year. Northern with the rebound, and for some reason he was throwing it to Davis. Davis wasn't expecting to receive it. And really, that's one way it's got to go straight to E.J. Harrison.
Yeah, absolutely there. And that's early season, maybe nerves there. The Rocks have played 3 warm-up games. They're still trying to put things in practice this week. You know, it is about still a bit learning experience of where guys should be in the floor, but early days yet.
Of course, Rocks, the last team to start the beat. There's another block from Northern, his 3rd of the game. We've only played 4 minutes. Rocks, the last team in the BBL to get underway. Some teams have played 4 games. Sheffield already got through 4 games with 2 double-header weekends to start off in the season. But Rocks with their big kickoff on a big weekend for the venue as well. It's their 1st anniversary here at the Emirates Arena since it opened last year. Got to shoot it again, shot clock ticking down. It's turned over before the shot clock buzzer, so an easy layback for Ches Marks, and I think that was a mental switch off by United. They thought it was going to be a shot clock violation and didn't chase back.
Yeah, and it is turnovers, it's a lack of execution, and the pressure that the Rocks are putting on the perimeter, Surrey needing to deal better with that.
Faronk hands it over. Three-pointer is good from Tamayo, and that's the only way they've got their points so far, United, with the three-point shot. Northern inside is challenged and can't convert on that one. Nice drive to the basket. Foul is called, and they're working in threes here, United. And Sinyanis will go to the line to try and convert the three-point play.
Interesting pickup for them. You saw that he played in Germany before last season. He played a little bit in his native Lithuania, came through the Surrey Marshallunas Academy, one of the big training academies that Lithuania set up. And such a great system there. You know, basketball schools throughout the country. Kids go there after the real school every single day, are taught the fundamentals of the game. And that system went right back into the establishment of the country when they went independent. Sharonis Marshallunas, of course, one of their great figures, played in the NBA, played for the Soviet Union, won a bronze medal in the Olympics back in 1992. And now you see guys like him coming overseas, maybe not the star names in their own country, but when they come to other leagues, the fundamental skills they've got, standing them in good stead.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You look through European leagues all over Europe, you will find Lithuanians playing at every level.
And the thing is, with the potential that they have, if maybe a team like Surrey can bring in guys from Eastern Europe, maybe another Lithuanian, someone that can fit into a system. Often you find that if you bring in new players into the league, it takes them a while to adjust. It's easier if you have the players with better fundamentals, and he certainly, as they go forward this season, if they can move on from that difficult start, will be one of the key figures in trying to revive United.
Still very early days in the BBL season, but the margin of defeat on opening day will deal a psychological blow as much as anything else to the team. You go in all pumped up, and all right, sometimes you get beat by 20 or 30, but they got so heavily whacked last week, it's got to have a psychological effect. Davis with the rebound. Harrison brings it forward. Harrison fires it up, and didn't look like he was going to have enough on that, but somehow it squeezed in over the ring. There's Tamayo kicking it inside. Giannis with the jumper, and they're into double figures halfway through the first period. And of course, last night we had the equal lowest scoring game in BBL history, Leicester against Sheffield, and it looked for a long time in the first period there as if neither of those two teams were going to get to double figures. Both have made it halfway through this one.
You were there.
I was there, yeah.
And you saw it equaling the lowest score.
Yeah,
40 points that Sheffield put up.
I was cursing Connor Washington at the end for driving through and laying in there. I wanted to see a record breaker, but in the end, Leicester winning by 60 points to 40. So Sheffield have been involved in both of the two lowest scoring games in BBL history. Lost them both as well. 53-47 the other one was. 1994 against Doncaster. Their fourth ever game in the BBL. In fact, Sheffield had 45 last year at John Sanford. They just won't want to go there again. They've had enough of that venue.
At least we're on pace for a little bit more than that tonight, so far.
Just a bit. Rocks 18 points on the board midway through the first. Nice driver along the baseline from Giannis, but it won't go. Here's Bunyan getting his first taste of the action tonight. Inside to Northern, and Northern is fouled by Faronk, and Northern really just has a bit too much strength for him inside.
Yeah, and interesting now getting our first look in the BBL of Fran Early, the Croatian forward that the Rocks have brought over the summer. Has a past pedigree playing overseas, went to college, Hawaii Pacific, spent last season with a Rebru in Sweden, and someone who they feel could really be a great tandem with Gareth Murray, having some size and strength in the perimeter, can shoot the three as well, and that versatility figures to be one of the Rocks' key advantages this season.
Well, that's, I mean, in some ways the blueprint that Leicester set out last year was you need to be able to rotate guys. So if somebody's having an off night or somebody is in foul trouble or injured or something, you just got to be able to move guys around. So if you can get guys who can play multi-position, that's the key to success.
It's having that depth as well. We've seen this year teams trying to get a little bit more out of their bench, maybe an impact player on there as well.
Dusha with the three-point shot which goes, and he cuts the lead down to 7.
Dusha, hearing from him this week, just missed out in the GB Under-20 program over the summer, making the team. Says that's a motivation for him to come in here. Tough for him, 19 years of age, just starting at times as a point guard in the BBL. What can he do to learn from this experience?
Early inside with the lane. Knocked loose by Northern, illegally so, fouling Zinyanis in the process. And it'll be a sideline possession to Surrey. Substitutions both ways. Rocks going very deep into their bench very quickly. They've only got one of the starting 5 left out on the court, and we played, what, just over 6 minutes.
Here's a guy to look out for. Number 23, Patrick Manifold, the rookie. Is from Great Yarmouth, but spent the past 4 years at college in Maine. Big, versatile player, smart player, and they have high hopes for him.
Talking to smart, there's Ches Marks diving into the passing lane for the steal and runs it back for 2, leads out to double digits here. Tatum Nunn into the game, wearing 14 for the first time. Bronk fires up for 3 off the mark. There's Tatum Nunn with the rebound. Nowhere for him to go, trying to get it out. He does find Tamayo. Gets it back, fires up in the corner and knocks it down, fresh into the game. Bit of life from him, offensive board, and then a 2-pointer.
That's what they need, a little bit of awareness there, where your teammates are, that spacing, getting it right, and getting a good open shot from the corner. Something that Surrey need to do more of.
Di Maria. On to Marks. Manifold offering the high screen if Ches Marks wants it. Goes back both ways. Shot clock getting low. Shot goes up in the corner. It's a little bit short. Manifold trying to keep it alive, but he could only tip it towards Tamayo, and a chance for Zinyanis to drive to the basket. That's kept alive by Tamayo, and Bunyan running the other way. It's 4-on-2 here. Marks pulls up. No, he doesn't. Dumps it inside. Great ball movement from the Rocks, and Bunyan's on the end of it for 2.
Well, that's just good execution, isn't it? Getting out in the break, looking for the best shot, not settling for the secondary shot, and Bunyan with a great confident finish in the middle.
Another 3-pointer knocked down by Andy Tamayo. That's been keeping them in the game here, United, the 3-point threat. As we said, they're not the biggest team you've ever seen, but if you can keep yourself hot from the 3-point line, it always gives you a chance. Dumped inside and early off the glass. Again, just a bit too much size and strength in that low block.
Let's see how Surrey respond here. The team that they've got, I'd like to see them get out a little bit more in the break here. Yeah, they're getting those outside opportunities. There's another one, doesn't go that time. Let's see their speed. If they have that quickness, they can't match it with size. Let's see, get out more in the fast break.
It's sometimes trying to use your weakness as a strength, going the other way, as Di Maria fires up for 3 that doesn't go. Good work on the offensive glass to keep that one alive and lay it back in for 2 for Fran Early. He'll go to the line for a bonus.
But there's the Rocks going to their strength inside there with that extra speed. It's very hard to counter that size, especially in the low block. We've seen it so far. Rebounding's a struggle. Surrey, if you look at the roster that they've got, we're only judging them really on 1.25 games so far. If they're going to add someone, they need someone inside that's that 6'8" size who can give them some physical presence, maybe alter shots. So far, the Rocks just having it all their own way on the glass.
Because, I mean, offensively, they've not done too badly. They are living by that 3-point shot, but it's going in right now. But you can't give up 30 points in less than 9 minutes.
I think a little bit of that as well is that you look at all these teams, and we've seen it, you've seen a few games so far, it's quite hard for coaches to prepare their players for that because you don't know the tendencies. And if I'm an opposing coach early season, Surrey United are the nightmare team to prepare for because these coaches have never seen these guys play before. There's very little tape or scouting information available on them. You can't necessarily say at the beginning of the game in the preparation during the week, look at this guy here, for example, Andy Tamayo. Watch him in the perimeter, watch out what he'll do. Players a little bit slower react, not quite as prepared as they would normally be. A couple more weeks down the road, every coach down the road, every coach in the league has seen this tape, and they'll be making sure their players don't leave that sort of open shot.
Well, it's interesting. I saw some quotes from Rob Paternostro saying exactly that this week, where he's saying we would probably defend Worcester differently. This was ahead of their defeat in Worcester on Friday night. We'll probably defend Worcester a bit differently later on in the year than we will do now, because we will have seen enough videotape of them to know what their strengths and weaknesses are, and it's a bit of a nightmare, especially for a guy like Paternostro, who, if anything, over-prepares. He just seems to know everything about everybody, and he hates that scenario where he hasn't seen enough videotape on an opponent. Stolen away by the Rocks. Di Maria coming up with the loose ball. Bunyan gives it back to Di Maria. Grieve in the corner, back out to Bunyan. And they've got everybody in the game here in the first quarter. Henry brings it forward. A little stop and go by Dusha. Kicks out. And the three not quite there for Tatum Nunn.
Here's the sort of rarity in the BBL, an entire second unit out in the floor together. Normally you have to mix up a little of your starting unit and your bench. Here, the complete second unit going in together. And intriguing, I guess, for Sterling Davis watching the sidelines and see how they perform together. Can they be a separate squad almost for him in times of need?
Greaves 3 doesn't go. Shot clock was against him. Surrey can run this down and take the final one of the quarter, although Dusha goes quickly. Saw the defense was reacting to the clock rather than the ball, and just assumed he would stop. He went ahead and attacked the basket. So he will go to the free throw line, shoot a couple. Of course, the only downside to that is you do give the Rocks 8.5 seconds to go back the other way.
And again, for Davis, good preparation for this season, getting into it. How can your team react in that situation? How well do they know the play so far? The time to assess your team as a coach.
Dusha makes the first one from the line. This will trim it back to a single digits, and does so. 31-22. Almost got as many points as, in fact, they've got more points than Leicester and Sheffield did in the first half last night.
You were reading my mind.
Di Maria fires up for 3 and hits on the buzzer. Good way to finish the first period from the Glasgow Rocks. And their lead is back into double figures at 34 points to 22. And really, Glasgow off to a flying start, but Surrey showed their threat from the three-point line.
Well, it's about execution so far, and you look at the way that these two teams have played that first half. Surrey have freelanced a little bit more, got their points on the break, had an open three, taking the three, got their points that way. Glasgow a little bit more in execution. Some of those passes inside, tremendous to watch. I'm sure it'll be very positive for Sterling Davis, who sat out most of that first quarter just to observe. Surrey, for me, going into this second quarter now, need to show us a little bit more of what they've got. What are their strengths? How can they go to them a little bit more? Can they start learning as well? Learning where the Rocks players are coming from. It's hard to tell how well they've scouted their opponents. Probably not. It's very little on them. Can they go out there and say, well, I know he's going to shoot from there. I know Daniel Northern's going inside. That's obvious. Someone in the break. Can you react? Can you learn to how smart do you want to be? And for some of particularly the young players on Surrey's team who have only ever really played Division 2, Division 3 in the EBL, this is a huge challenge for them. And I guess for Jack Majewski, you're learning now who's got the stomach for the fight, who's got the smarts for the battles that will come in future weeks. Now we're probably not expecting much of them. Understandable perhaps, but if I'm him, I want to know now, who'll still be there mid-season. Maybe I'll make a few changes here and there. is showing me enough to suggest they've got something.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. And you talk to him and he says, I'm not, you don't use youth as an excuse at all. He says, you look around Europe and you see some of the guys playing at 18, 19 years of age at the very highest level. There's no reason why these guys can't go out at 19, 20, 21 and go out and play at the top level in this country. But as you say, it's making that adjustment to whatever the level is they've played previously.
And also playing within the system as well. And, what sort of system can he bring? We know they had a very short pre-season, of course, the takeover, the move from the Heat to United. You're trying to, to develop themselves from that. They haven't had much time to prepare. We need to cut them a little bit of slack, I think, in the first few weeks while he tries to install new things to put the players together and get them to understand anything. But you look at really the first half stats there. I mean, it's been difficult for them so far in certain aspects.
Yeah, I mean, points in the paint is the obvious one. Rocks with 22 of their 34 points inside. There's just a delay to tip off here because the clock hadn't reset to 10 for some reason. They've managed to get it there now. But the upside for Surrey, 4 of 8 from the 3-point line. I mean, it's not often teams can maintain that sort of 50% level, but they've shot it very well hitherto.
Yeah, absolutely. But can they keep it going now? Maybe do you want to vary it up a little bit? Well, let's see what can they get points inside? Can they run screens, get points off pick and rolls perhaps as well? Use that speed and athleticism that generally come with younger legs.
Well, they have attacked the basket at times. They've not really managed to convert on those. There's just they're looking up at the clock. It does now have 10 on it. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, but the referee has gone to both benches and they are underway and the clock is ticking. So Tatum Nunn passes it on forward to Callum. It's Dusha onto Callum in the corner for 3. Another one goes, 5th one of the game now for Surrey United.
Yeah, and Corey Callum with that one in there, just a little bit of variation. A smart pass outside, recognizing the defense had collapsed inside. There was someone there free, and a good shot from downtown.
Here's Murray, round the high pick and roll with Northern, keeps going to the basket, flips it up. Tough shot from Gareth Murray.
Yeah, Murray there, that's that extra confidence from him. 4 points for him so far. Chesmarks so far leading all scorers with 14 in this game. Tamayo leading Surrey with 9.
Callum dumps it inside, gets it back from Dusha. Dusha this time is blocked by Marks, gets his own board though, overcooks that one. I think he was trying to get it off the glass but didn't quite have the angle for it. Marks lobs it into Murray. Murray stops and he just came out a little gingerly there, Gareth Murray. Just checking, he seems to be running okay now, but he just looked like he hobbled out of that. He tweaked an ankle or something. That's a pass that didn't look like it was going to get there. It didn't in the end, and Marks bats it forward to Sterling Davis. Davis can't convert. Good recovery back by Luxton to put some pressure on him. Rocks by 11, minute and a half into the second period. Marks from behind the arc, short on that one, and nobody going after the offensive rebound. There was 4 white shirts around it, and it was an easy one for Bradley Luxton. Callum kicks it cross court now. It's Tatum Nunn. Shot clock getting low on the Heat here. Dusha has to fire up for 3 and hits another one for Surrey United. That's 6 from 10 attempts.
Well, you look at that, the Rocks switching to zone there, and you guess specifically to try and stop those outside shots, but just couldn't get quite enough, didn't get close enough there, and got punished for it.
Good hands from Tatum Nunn to knock that ball loose and come up with it. And Surrey with a chance to cut the deficit a little further here. So only 8 points between them. Another 3 in the corner. No, that one's a little bit too long from Corey Callum. Marks out on the break, lobs it up to Gareth Murray, who jams it down.
Well, Gareth Murray was practically begging for that pass there, and Ches Marks thoroughly glad to oblige him with that, but that's again able to get out in transition, trying to to make their own speed in the break and their athleticism work for them as well. And the Rocks now putting that lead back up to 10 points. You sense really they're not capitalising on the dominance in play so far. And, you know, Surrey, credit them for holding the Rocks in check as much as they had. But you do sort of sense maybe the Rocks have got another gear still to go up here.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Marks and his offensive prowess, but he is a good distributor of the ball, as we saw there. And you just wonder now, as that one's tipped out of bounds by Tatum Nunn, whether the United are actually dying by the three. They get hit some early on, and maybe the last couple they've taken because they think, well, we've made a load of these.
At some point, they're going to close out on you, and now they're starting to do that. You know, those open shots won't be coming so easily anymore. What have you got as your plan B?
Harrison on to Murray, round the high screen from Northern. Murray pulls up for three, little short on that one, and again, easy rebound. Giannis allowing it to bounce before he grabbed hold of it. Rocks perhaps not as aggressive going after the offensive glass as they were a little earlier. And Corey Callum just stepped out of bounds on the far side as it's that move ever since the three-point line changed. You see it all the time now, where guys just spaced a little too close to the sideline, so when they step back to go forwards, they end up stepping out of bounds. Marks gets it back on the handoff from Davis, lobbed inside to Northern. Double team comes at him quick. He goes the long way around, and the pressure is enough to put him off, but Murray steals the rebound away, and Northern, oh, he misses again inside. That one was easier as well. You would expect Northern. I thought at first he was going to jam it down. The finger roll didn't quite go. Murray manages to come up with the loose ball. Still Gareth Murray has it. Marks will reset halfway through the offense. Got to look to go for something now. He calls the screen up from Northern. Goes the opposite direction. Drives to the hole off the back of the ring. Still can't convert. And finally, it comes down in the hands of Ruben Tatum-Nunn. And that'll be a foul by Davis. Out on the break. Stephen Robinson will go to the line for a couple.
The Rocks at the moment, if you look at this being a game where really they should win. They've gone into this game believing that they should win this. Sterling Davis we see out there in the court at the minute talking to his team. Will he be satisfied right now? Possibly not. There's a little bit of a dip in intensity that we've seen since that early start. Perhaps it is that thing with the early part of the season, maybe even the first game, where you want to be challenged, you want to really have your team pushed. You've spent a month putting everything together, the hard practices, a couple of warm-up games. But you want your team from the very start to understand that you have to play for 40 minutes. You can't take possessions off. Well, you're playing against a team that's not quite at its best yet. You have that opportunity, you have that latitude. As a coach, you probably don't want that on game one.
Yeah, in some ways, it's the Worcester result has psychologically altered how Glasgow might have come into this game as well. They saw that Worcester took them apart and think, well, maybe we can do that as well. And if you're not quite at it, and you let a team hang around, and it's only 11 now after that score, it could come back to bite you later on in the game.
I know Sterling took his team aside after practice this week and underlined the importance of getting off to a good start this season. We've seen it in the past few years. They've had good second halves of the season. The first half has killed their challenge. I do not want us to be playing catch-up this year.
Northern inside with the reverse lane. He will go to the line for a bonus after drawing the foul. And you look around the league, Mark, as you do, and I know it's really early days. Who knows after 2 weekends? But you see the top three of last year, Leicester, Newcastle and Glasgow. Worcester looked pretty impressive as well. Anybody else going to break in a challenge for that top end?
I have to say, I think those are the four that will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. In a minute, Worcester will have to readjust to life after Zaire Taylor. We know how important he was last year, what an efficient player he was at both ends of the court. He's gone to Worcester now. That's made them better. Will Creekmore's looked very impressive. That 32-point, 17 rebound effort last week against Surrey. Newcastle, I think, might need a little bit period of readjusting. Scott Martin, though, looks a great signing for them. And now we're seeing Glasgow tonight. Can anyone else break into that? It is early. I still find it hard to believe. I know Sheffield have got that good start there. First loss last night. But I think those four will be the top four to challenge this season.
Well, that was the interesting thing, is you looked at Sheffield, as you say, got off to a flying start with 3 wins from their first 3 games, but then only scoring 40 points in game number 4 at Leicester, albeit in a very low-scoring game. And you sort of wonder, well, what does that do for them? And where it's, as I say to you, it's so early in the season, it's really hard to judge who's got what in some ways, and Murray's going to get called for an unsportsmanlike foul there, because I mean, Davis is arguing that he wasn't the last man back, and he wasn't, but he didn't really make a play at the ball. He just sort of put his arm across the chest, and I think it was the lack of playing the ball rather than that last man rule.
Thinking back to what you were saying though about the title challenge, and a few coaches I've spoken to this season have said that the great thing is at the top end of the table it looks more even than last year. Last year was really a two-way chase between Leicester and Newcastle, almost to the final stages. This year I think we've got a great open run there, that there are 4 teams that once we settle down maybe a month into the season we'll have a better idea of what they can do, but certainly it looks more unpredictable. And can Worcester capitalise on the talent? Maybe not the depth perhaps that they need, but certainly as a starting 5, a terrific unit. And we could see some really terrific battles between those 4 teams and some of the teams in the middle of the pack this year. We always can see surprises.
And of course we've not mentioned London, who still have some additions to come. Got off to a decent start with more to come. We'll be able to watch them on BBL TV. They're up next against Worcester, so that will give us a good insight for those 2 teams, I would imagine. Thursday night, 7:30, we'll be live on air. Rocks leading this one by 12. Nice drive to the basket, and they need a little bit more of that. Stephen Robinson going hard, but getting the shot up over. I think they got a bit intimidated by Northern in those 2 early blocks.
Well, it's about showing a little bit of confidence here as well, believing in yourself that you're in this league now, you have to step up, you have to get used to the rhythm. It may take a little bit of time, a slightly quicker game than you're used to, but be ambitious, be bold. Don't be afraid to take the ball inside, even if the hulking figure of Daniel Northern's standing in front of you.
Bunyan's shot doesn't go, Sionis with the rebound, gets it back, fakes it, the 3, drives to the basket. There's Northern trying to block that shot, didn't get it on that occasion, and that will be out of bounds, and it will be a Rocks possession. 3:08 to go here in the first half, and it is the Rocks who lead by 10. E.J. Harrison will get himself a rest as Cronin early comes into the game, inbounds the ball to Bunyan. Murray fakes at the pass inside. Di Maria skips it to Bunyan. Good ball movement again by the Rocks, and it ends up until we've seen that a few times where they've whipped it around quickly.
I'm liking the early impression that Johnny Bunyan's making this year. A big year for him. They've asked him to take on more responsibility. With E.J. Harrison, 37 now. They don't want him playing 30 minutes every single night, and they believe that Bunyan's ready to step up and perform the kind of role, of course, that his brother Keith performed so well, as being a bench producer consistently night after night, and now showing that he is a good young distributor of the ball.
Keith, an excellent shooter for the Rocks in years gone by. Obviously, there's a lot more pressure when you're playing point guard as Johnny is, because some of the better players in the BBL play that position. So night in, night out, you're going to be guarded by and guarding, invariably, one of the top players on the other team.
Again, he's a smart young player. You've seen him come through the youth system with his dad and his brother at Falkirk Fury. Has worked his way through. Benefit of that system that allows young players to play in the lower league and the BBL, getting more game experience. But they've worked a lot on him over the summer, and they believe now that this year that he is ready, having learnt from E.J. Harrison and received that mentoring to be a producer. And so far tonight, impressive start for him to the campaign. Well,
there aren't many better to learn the point guard position off than E.J. Harrison. Murray dumps it down into the low post. Early kicks out his. Bunyan for 3. That one halfway down. Almost deserved a point, but span out for him, and Dusha pulled in the rebound. Nice spin and off the glass from Tamaya. 10 points in it, closing in on half time. bunion. Murray drives through to the finger roll. Nice play, Gareth Murray. Tatum none. Dusha running up the lane, round the screen. Looking for somebody to hand it off to. Finds Tamaya and eventually is stolen away. Murray out leading the break. Murray will draw the foul. Veteran play from Gareth Murray. Saw the defender, made sure he made a beeline for him, went under the basket, drew the contact, laid it in.
That's almost shows time stuff there, isn't for him, those last couple of possessions. And I spoke to GB coach Joe Prunty about Gareth Murray and said, what did you like about him this summer? And he said, it's that smart. It's the ability to know that he can play within himself, to not make mistakes, but also to play hard. And it seems almost a cliche, isn't it, Daniel, that you talk about asking international players to play hard, but it's that not taking possessions up. It's about putting in the extra mile. It's being tighter defender and making sure you don't make mistakes. Offensively, at Eurobasket level, sometimes he struggled to get those opportunities, but defensively, Joe Prunty loved what he could do. And there we see tonight, though, what he can do offensively when he has the opportunities.
And Tamaya with the turnover. Yeah, I just really think this is going to be a big season for Gareth Murray. I think the boost that must have given him to get that call up and not just become a squad player, because obviously there was a number of players called up into the squad, but to force your way into the final 12 like that can only have helped him. Here's Northern. The last 30 seconds of the first half. Early fires up for three. It's off the mark. Ball is loose and the Rocks come down with it. They could hold for one, but they don't. And now Surrey out on the break, but a poor pass. And it's kicked forward to Northern, and Northern is fouled by Bradley Luxton. He'll go to the line for two. Scrappy bit of play there.
It is a couple of opportunities missed there. If you looked at Northern inside, was screaming for the ball. I don't think in this first half we've seen them feed him enough in the interior. He was calling for it. They settled for the outside for the three, didn't go there from early. You've got that advantage and you need to use up that matchup advantage. And particularly in this league, if you've got a productive big guy, that is such a huge plus. And I think going forward in this season in the second half, if Northern wants the ball and he's open inside against a smaller guy, give him the ball.
It was almost like they went to him for the first couple of plays and then didn't bother after that. Good save by Northern. There's 3 seconds left. This shot's got to go up quick from Di Maria on the buzzer. Doesn't quite go. Great defensive effort from Daniel Northern to try and force 2 points at the other end. And well, Surrey have hung around this. They've hit some three-pointers, but the strength of the Rocks, they've edged away here towards the end of the second period, opened up a 53-36 lead.
Yeah, and I think it is now about execution. The Rocks have now starting to find their rhythm. I think we saw in the last couple of minutes some smarter plays there. They'll improve as this game goes on. Surrey going into this second half, I think when they go into that locker room now, it needs to be what can we do better? What strengths have we got? And how do we start playing to them? I think for them to improve, we know it's a tough start, so they're now 17 points down, but to be more confident, to take what they've learned in practice and to start putting it together and showing us what they might do in the second half.
Well, it's half-time here at the Emirates. We're going to take a little break. It's the Rocks who lead against Surrey, 53 points to 36. For them, a few questions maybe I'm sure that Fab Benoit will be asking tonight. Another undefeated record bites the dust. Is it just Worcester that are left undefeated? It's amazing, 2 weeks in, all these teams dropping games. It's a great sign. I always like to see it when everybody has their first win and first loss on the board. I always think it makes it very interesting if that happens in the first couple of weeks of the season.
Of course, one team with no loss yet, the Rocks. No wins yet either. Are they going to pull it out tonight with that 17-point victory? All to play for.
There's a foul called off the ball. I think it was Giannis holding on to Sterling Davis. There's certainly some jawing going on down there. It's not an easy assignment for anybody in the BBL to try and guard Sterling Davis, one of the strongest men in the league. Here he is with the ball. Dumped inside to Northern. It was like they did this at the start of the first half, but as you say, kind of drifted away from feeding Northern inside.
Yeah, Northern just 6 shots taken in that first half, 2 of them made. And really, when you've got that kind of size advantage in that matchup, use it as much as you possibly can.
Well, as you say, you saw Creekmore put up huge numbers against Surrey last week. Jana steps around, has to dump off to Dusha in the corner on the shot clock. Buzzer doesn't go. Murray with the rebound, trying to get away from Tate and Nunn, but oh no, I thought a foul was called, but he must have stepped out of bounds. So Surrey get the possession back, trailing by 19. Dusha around the high screen, little stop and go. Helps his teammate out who got halfway through a shot. Northern again there with the block, his 4th of the game. So Giannis in the corner for 3, knocks it down.
Yeah, and he likes that opportunity, he likes that shot there. But what I like there is Dusha showing more poise than he did. Suggests that he's learned from that first game. You know, a player that people have said to me has got a lot of potential to come through and be a solid BBL player for years to come. And we're seeing little glimmers of that tonight.
Once again, they go into Northern. He's fouled by Bradley Luxton, so Daniel Northern will go to the free throw line for a couple.
Northern, a fascinating year, he told me, that he spent last year in Colombia. Said it was absolutely everything that you could possibly have imagined there. Said him and his teammates were advised never to venture out alone at night. If they did that, they were really, it was all in their own hands for them. But you said, I don't really travel anymore to see the world, to have those life experiences. I'm traveling to win, probably a little to get paid as well. Yeah. You know, this is a job after all. But you said it was a very interesting campaign, and I'm glad to be back in the slightly safer surroundings of Glasgow.
Just a bit, as Davis knocks that one out of bounds. But I suppose it is the life of a pro basketball player. Sideline ball to Surrey. We're approaching 90 seconds into the second half. Dusha to inbound. He gets the handoff back from Luxton, then goes round the screen. Northern gambles out. The defense recovers well. Giannis drives through, kicks it out. Referee gives that a 3 from Henry, from my angle, which is a long way away. Didn't look like he got all the way back, but it counts, and that's all that matters. Marks drives through the basket, lays it in. I think the scoreboard only gave him 2 for that, but the last shot. But the referee definitely signaled 3. Luxton offering the screen, Dusha up in the air. Threw it, hopefully. Unfortunately for him, Henry was there. Henry drives in, block number 5 for Daniel Northern, and a word for him as well.
I think those courtside seats are payable with danger money this season here in Glasgow with Daniel Northern in the house. Great to see a huge crowd here for the opening night of the season. Of course, we saw it last year. This arena opened up, huge big crowd in the Rocks. All those off-season hours and days that they've spent trying to get new fans in and to persuade fans to buy season tickets, and tickets for this game paying off tonight. Of course, the venue for the BBL Trophy Final this season once again.
It was a great event up here last year. Phenomenal game as well. You may remember Sheffield beating Leicester by a couple in a absolutely thrilling encounter. Marks at the elbow, doesn't go. Easy rebound once again for Luxton. Little flip finger roll from Giannis, doesn't go. Murray dumps it off to Marks, and Marks lays it in for 2. And I think almost all of Chez's points have just come out on fast breaks like that.
Yeah, and just moving there and using his speed and that veteran savvy. And at the moment, Surrey finding that very difficult to stop.
He's up to 18 points. That's a block from Northern. It looked like it hit the backboard first, That's certainly what the Surrey players are saying, but the referees have called it a clean block. Of course, once it hits the backboard, you're not allowed to swat it away until it hits the ring. Otherwise, it's a goaltend, but the referee said that one was legal.
You know, I think referee's always right.
Yeah, indeed,
you know that.
Of course, yeah. And I think it's fair to say Daniel Northern's going to lead the league in block shots at the end of this weekend. Nice pass inside, and that was the thing. Northern turned to his coach and said, yeah, my fault, because he gambled out on the defense to try and steal the ball away at the three-point line, and it was his man cutting back door.
Good recognition, though. Good interior pass. Some signs of promise for United there.
Murray drives through, kicks it to Marks. Murray lines up the three-point shot. Normally knocks him down when he's got that much time. It's knocked away from Sterling Davis. A chance for United to break with Cullum. Cuts it back out to Dusha. Around the high screen. Three-point shot is short on the far side from Henry. He almost steals it away. He does knock it to Dusha. Dusha lobs it up to Henry. Couldn't quite. I think it might have hit the ring on the alley-oop. Northern's out on the break, and he will just lay it in.
Disappointing, really. You want to see something a little bit more spectacular in your first home game at home. You want to show the fans a little bit of what you've got there. You know, something a bit more windmill jam, perhaps.
Dusha kicks it back out. 20 points between the sides, and a travelling violation is called on Corey Cullum. Subs both ways, both coaches getting lots of minutes from various different places.
Positive thing at the moment for Coach Jack Majewski is that his team haven't allowed their heads to go down here. And the big leads come, and as he told us earlier, he spoke a lot to his team about not getting deflated, not falling away. And tonight, they're in a tough battle. It's going to be hard to come back from this, if not impossible. But at least they're still fighting. They're still going for it. They're still looking for each and every opportunity here, and that, I guess, is a plus if you're a coach and trying to make a difference.
A couple of offensive rebounds. Surrey getting a third chance opportunity here. Is Dusha with 10 on the shot clock. Pulls up from 18 feet, got caught by Gareth Murray diving out on the challenge. He'll go to line for a couple. I thought for a second there Surrey had caught a timeout. Certainly coach had gone all the way to the table, but it doesn't appear so. Maybe just passing some instructions. Murray's going to sit down after picking up his third personal foul.
Of course, we talked there about Coach Jack Majewski. I mean, a big season for him as well, a chance to come back into the BBL. Of course, he was involved with London United during their brief foray into the league 5-6 years ago, was on Kevin Cadle's staff at London Towers. Many moons ago was involved with the Poland under-16 national team. Now he gets a chance with a young group of players that he knows quite well. See what he can get out of them at this level. You want to test yourself at a higher level. He's huge amount of involvement with community programs in London as well. This is an opportunity for him to develop as a coach.
Marks fires up from behind the three-point line, doesn't go. Two players fighting for it. Eventually Joel Henry hauls it in. Dusha to Henry, sets his feet for three, rattles round. Manifold with the rebound. Marks cross court. Di Maria, nice little dump off, and Early has 2 attempts at it, 3 attempts at it, still can't convert. Di Maria trying to help him out, and eventually the Rocks do get 2 on the board.
Reward for persistence there. Di Maria, last minute pickup for them. Only came in a couple of weeks ago, one of their original signings. A Croatian pulled out. They found him, and so far liking, I would suspect, what he can bring off the bench. Good hustle play.
3-point shot doesn't go for Tamaya. Harrison lobs it up, and that's just a little bit too easy. Sorry, need to work on the transition defense. You can't keep getting beat down the court like that.
No, just a little bit of drop in intensity from them. Now the Rocks seizing that opportunity with glee and starting to pull away into a significant advantage here in the third quarter.
Nice spin and the reverse lay in there from Andy Tamayo. Beautiful play down the lane. Marks hands it over to Di Maria. Early gives it back to him. Late in the shot clock here, Rock's very scrappy, and eventually they turn it over. Mark's trying to chase back. Dusha out ahead of it, and he lays it in for two, and Sterling Davis has said enough of that. He calls for a timeout, and it'll just be a few scrappy plays in a row for Coach Davis. He'll just want to stop that and try and get his team back to the top level.
Well, tonight you've seen the advantage that he will have this season. The extra depth that they have will allow him to spend more time on the bench as a coach. And, you know, it's not an easy job, as we know. And you know, again, when I spoke to him this week, he told me about the frustrations of when he loses as a coach. He can take it if he has a bad game as a player and they win. It means nothing. He goes home a happy man. If he has both a bad game as a player and as a coach and they lose, it takes him, he said, 3 days to get over it. He can't look at his players after that now. For him, developing in this role, looking at particularly early season when he wants to observe his team a little bit more, see what they can do, have that external eyes. The more time he can spend on the bench, the better. And we've seen it with Fab Vanoy. He's had that luxury. He's had that. He's a good starting five. He's had other players that can step in and allows you to do that coaching job in a way that normally you won't be able to do if you're player coach. He'll sit there and observe, and he'll take notes, and he'll come back in at practice on Tuesday a little bit more informed about his team.
Yeah, I know Sterl, I mean, he's still got a lot to give as a player, but as a coach he gains so much more when his minutes are limited, which is a shame for those of us who like to watch him play. Nice defense there on the help side from Callum with the block. Rock's ball from the end, which E.J. Harrison will inbound. Just a delay, one of the refs at the table, I think it's because they reset the shot clock and it was whether it should have been reset. And the shot clock's currently on 23. Now they're going to have a chat as to what it should be on. They've now turned the shot clock off for a second. Well, maybe it wasn't the shot clock because they're basically going to reset it. In fact, the shot clock's gone off. Harrison fires up and knocks it down. And the shot clock's back on now. Dusha. Well, it was a nice idea. Unfortunately for him, Callum didn't read it. Di Maria out on the break, lays it in. 2 minutes to go here in the third. Rocks 71, Surrey 48.
So at half-time, the Rocks with only 2 points in the fast break, vastly more this half, using that speed. And a lot of that coming from pressure defense. They're forcing those mistakes and they're getting out in the break and they're finishing it off. And Surrey right now is struggling to slow that down and execute themselves.
Turnover allows substitutions. Dusha's going to sit down. He's replaced by Tatum Nunn. Johnny Brunyon brings it across half court. Onto Harrison. Manifold in the corner. Back out to Bunyan, open for three, knocks it down, and that's, we're talking about the development of a player. That's the sort of shot he needs to knock down for his team this season.
Yeah, that's where he'll get his looks, that's where he's very efficient, and that's when you have that opportunity, you have to take it to make an impact. They want him to be a playmaker, but you also want to try and contribute offensively and defensively as well.
Harrison with the outlet pass, which was just broken up almost inadvertently by Ferrand. He didn't quite see it, but his hands went up and he managed to knock it away. Step back three a little bit short from Tamayo, and again Harrison out on the break, and Well, a sloppy foul from Robinson got behind him, and it was almost, at that point, you might as well just bail out of it, not commit the foul rather than going over the top and giving him an extra bonus point.
Well, it's that veteran move, knowing a guy to suck him in and wait for him to make his move. It's also a little bit of inexperience they're showing not to just wave him through and not give away the bonus point here. And especially as we see now this third quarter, Surrey just scoring 12 points so far. I think Rocks now we're starting to see a little bit of what they're going to bring to the table. That emphasis that Sterling likes to put on defense are starting to shut them down and use the advantages that they have.
Manifold inside, yes, this quarter ticks down. It's 25 to 12 this period. The Rocks have won with just 30-odd seconds left in it. Nice shot from the top of the key, Corey Callum. Harrison, Di Maria, around the high screen. Di Maria still going, attacks the basket, didn't quite have enough on it. Rebound pulled in by Robinson, 10 seconds to go here in the third. Throws that a little bit too high, and that's a killer turnover, really. It's got to drive you nuts. You've got a chance to take the last shot of the quarter, and really unnecessarily thrown out of bounds.
Yeah, Jack Rajewski there screaming in frustration at his players there, that execution. Let's see what the Rocks can come up with.
Bunyan runs it forward, has to rearrange off the glass. What a shot from Johnny Bunyan. Got a hand there, so he ducked underneath it and banked in the three on the buzzer.
Well, it was a beautiful play, wasn't it? A smart recognition there. The clock's running down. It's going to be you. You've got to make that shot. It took a difficult one, but beautiful bank shot there. Now, up by 31 going into the fourth, and playing with so much more confidence than they were at half-time.
Certainly are. Glasgow Rocks leading this one comfortably here at the Emirates Arena. 10 minutes still to play. If you were in either huddle, let's start with Surrey. If you were in that huddle, what would you be trying to get out of these last 10 minutes, Mark?
I think it's more about running the plays that you've got, about trying to see what works, what doesn't, about your players trying to stay within the system, not letting their heads go down, not taking silly shots, and also defensively about trying to execute there, setting your team maybe little challenges to deny Daniel Northern more opportunities inside, to try and match up better in the perimeters, maybe stopping the Rocks taking more three-point shots, pick something out, set those little targets. As for the Rocks bench, well, I want to see probably that intensity now from my second unit. I think we're going to see a lot over the next 10 minutes of Sterling going to those reserves. Probably he'll not play that much more, maybe sit Ches Marks down, saying to him, show me what you can do. This is your chance. Early season, normally if I wanted to get out in momentum, I'd throw my starter, I'd throw my big guns out there. You have this opportunity, go out and impress me and show me that next week when we're playing maybe a more difficult opponent, that you're worthy of my trust and give me that confidence in you as well. But it's difficult now at this point in time. If you're the team in front, can you keep that momentum when you know the game's won? But, days and weeks down the stretch, there will be moments when they'll want to rely on those reserve players.
Well, I mean, that is one of the things that you talk about, is how you maintain that way. You've finally broken the back of the game. You're up 31 with a quarter to go. You want to, as a coach, try and force your team to keep going, keep pushing. One of the things that you mentioned there is about how much we'll see of the likes of Marks and Davis in this fourth quarter. Of course, we talked about the experience that the Rocks have. With experience comes age and mileage, if you like. So they will be needing their bench to give them good quality spells this season.
Well, is when you look at they had a tough decision whether to bring E.J. Harrison back this season, and I think one of the reasons that they did was that they felt they could get more out of Bunyan. That you'll see Ches Marks playing point guard as well, to try and rotate things a little bit more. It's early days yet, but it's a long season ahead as we build up all the way to the playoffs at Wembley Arena at the end of the campaign.
That's another, I mean, you finish the third quarter with a poor turnover, start the fourth with a poor turnover, and you can see on the far side, Coach Majewski just arms out. Come on, guys. Some of that is basic stuff. Early on to Di Maria. Trying to force it inside. Good work there from Frank to knock it loose. He was the one that turned it over on the previous play. Robinson inside can't quite convert. Murray has the rebound. Murray kicks it to Bunyan, who hit 2 late threes and then turned that one over. Thought he was going to go for another one there. That's a foul by Manifold. Bump foul. It'll be 2 free throws.
There on the break, you see the potential from Surrey, but also probably the frustration right now. You've got that speed. You're forced to turn over in the perimeter. A little gamble perhaps, but that's okay. You've got out there, and then you make the extra pass. You think you be brave. Be ambitious, take it to the basket. You might even draw the foul if you don't get the score, but don't be afraid to take it inside against these teams with that physicality. I think as they go along, perhaps that's something they'll gain the belief to go and do that.
Johnny Bunyan brings it forward for Glasgow. They lead here by 30. Bunyan lets another one go from behind the arc. Doesn't drop for him though. Easy rebound from Zianis. He's forced to stop eventually, and he backs out to the three-point line. And again, just miscommunication, and you can see the frustration. Substitution for United is Corey Callum. Sit down. And you just get the feeling with each of these sloppy turnovers, it just gets harder and harder for them. And an easy score inside. We'll see Early go to the line for a bonus.
Interesting score from Manchester. Cheshire leading 50-33 against the Giants tonight. So Cheshire, we wondered how they were talking up their chances quite a lot in pre-season. A good performance in the first half there this evening.
Yeah, they had that tough start at home against Newcastle, but looked to be bouncing back, and of course plenty on the line when the Knicks and the Giants meet, that Northwest bragging rights. Another couple of free throws here for the Rocks. Tempo of the game just seems to have been broken up a little bit here in the opening 90 seconds of the fourth quarter.
Intriguing that we talked earlier about the battle for maybe the top 4 this season. A terrific battle for those last sort of few playoff spots, and we cast our minds forward 5-6 months of the likes of Cheshire, Manchester. Durham looked to have improved a lot this season as well, and new coaching there. Sheffield as well, bright start for them. So I think it'll be a very competitive league, and with great games throughout. You can catch it throughout the season at your local club.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things. There's been plenty of excitement around the league in the last month or two, building up with the new sponsors. Of course, BBL TV going live for the first time tonight, and there seems to be a number of teams that will be able to challenge each other. And as you say, there might be a few of them that may not be able to sustain a title challenge, but will certainly be able to pick off those who are sustaining that challenge. And that will mean, to my mind, you're unlikely to see whoever wins the league doing it with only 3 defeats as Leicester did last year. I think it gets more towards a 6 or a 7 defeat, which is always exciting because it brings more teams into it.
And more exciting games throughout the season as well, from top to bottom as well, and challenges from perhaps maybe from a surprise quarter this season.
Patrick Manifold called for his 3rd personal foul. Daniel Northern going to check back in for him.
Of course, we can't forget the new boys in the league as well. Birmingham Knights, who didn't win their first game but competed very hard. Now Paul Douglas there, we've seen him around the league for so many years. He's been an assistant coach, was a great player back in his day, and he'll have them fighting every night. They're not going to be a team that's going to lie down. Talent-wise, can they match up? Brett Benson looks like a terrific pickup for them as an American import. But they will fight and they'll battle, and that's what you want to see from a new club.
Still got another player to come in, of course, and as you say, they've got some guys who will work hard, and it might be one of those things that they will take some lumps along the way as that shot goes in on the 24-second buzzer. But on their night, I saw them in that opening game, they certainly gave their best. Perhaps wasn't quite enough, but fancy them to pick up a few wins as the season goes on. There's Tatum Nunn with the bounce pass, gets it back for baseline drive, kicked out Tatum Nunn, Dusha for three. You just kind of wish that an offense like that, where they move the ball well, gets rewarded with some points at the end.
That's about persisting, isn't it? I mean, sometimes those shots will fall, sometimes they won't, but if you keep running at them more often, that they will fall. Now really you want to see what can they do? Can they hang on? Can they keep their concentration here inside? See, they're early finding that room, but can you defend that kind of position effectively? And I think when they look to bring in maybe one or two more players, it's certainly on the evidence of tonight, from what I've seen, they need that more help on the post and in the middle.
Yeah, they're certainly a little undersized. Turnovers has been a bit of an issue for Surrey as well. 19 of them in the game, which the Rocks have turned into 22 points. And that's something you have to cut back on. If points are going to be hard to come by, you can't give away 20 off your own mistakes.
It's evident, I think 14 points in the paint for Surrey tonight. Just don't have that opposing man in the middle there that they desperately need. Certainly you suspect
it's probably the telling stat of the game, that, Mark, because actually if you look, Surrey have got 56 points on the board, and the Rocks have 58 points in the paint. They've just been able to get to the basket, either through the strength of Northern inside or somebody like Ches Marks attacking the basket, and do what they want. But that's the thing, turnovers like that have really hurt them, where there's been no need. It's not great defense has stolen the ball away, it's just a poor pass out of bounds.
Yeah, Sejanus with 7 turnovers so far in this game of the 19 they have in total. You just have to keep running it. You have to try and sort of concentrate, look at the plays that you want to make and make the best play every time. But the Rocks credit their pressure that they put on them.
5 minutes to go in this ball game. Glasgow up by 30. Dusha penetrates, kicks out. Shot doesn't go. Di Maria with the rebound. Green bounces it into early. Cross court to Di Maria. Had to go around the referee as much as anything else. Bunyan from behind the arc rattles out. Tatum now onto Dusha. Shot clock down to 7 as he tries to find some space, and a high arcing shot from Sebastian Ferrand goes in for 2.
His first points of the game there, the struggle. Missed his first 4 shots, finally got the opportunity. But those little short jumpers haven't been coming their way tonight. That's your money shots, and they're going to have to try as the season goes on to create more opportunities and look to have an offense that gives that kind of open look.
Northern catches it inside. I think he thought about the alley-oop finish at first and then thought, no, I'll just catch it and go up for 2. 3 in the corner is good for Stephen Robinson. And they've hit a few tonight, sorry, up to 9, but you think they had 4 of their first 8 went in. I think they had 6 by early in the second quarter. It's slowed down since then. Di Maria. He tries to reply with 3 of his own and knocks it down.
Yeah, and a good hustle there to get the ball back into, recognising that you had someone open out on the perimeter, and a great finish for them.
Lucia around the high screen, kicks it down to Tatum Nunn, open from the mid-range, knocks it down.
As we head down now, you think next week, Glasgow back here next Sunday against Plymouth University Raiders, and probably more of a test that they'll want to see. Jerry Marriott, of course, taking on as the new head coach there late on, had to put a few new players in it late in the pre-season. They'll start to come together. I'm sure they'll be taking a lot of confidence from beating Newcastle tonight. I think that Stirling next weekend will probably get a little bit more look at what sort of capability his team has.
Although that's always a nightmare trip. Plymouth against Glasgow, both ways, obviously. Had some good games between them last year, though.
Of course, that playoff defeat for the likes of E.J. Harrison and Gareth Murray, and Stirling himself will still be perhaps biting away there. There'll be a little bit of revenge in their mind, perhaps.
Next up for you on BBL TV, we have Worcester, who off to a flying start, taking on the London Lions at the Copper Box on Thursday night. It's a 7:30 start. We'll be on air just before that. Promises to be a very intriguing matchup.
Of course, you'll be able to see the BBL's best-selling author, Alex Iwumi, in action there. Have you read his book yet?
Funnily enough, I'm halfway through the audio book. I was listening to it on my way here, so don't tell me what happens at the end.
I would say I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. Gaddafi's Point Guard is the name of the book. Alex's incredible journey from the year when he was playing over in Libya and his escape from really the centre of a civil war there. Fascinating. He also talks about his career, all his journey to Worcester Wolves. Not that far off Christmas. Looking for a basketball-related gift, I highly recommend it on Evidence in the first 5 or 6 chapters.
Ditto. I've just got to the point where he's agreed the contract to go to Libya, and obviously it jumps back and forth from starting out right in the beginning where he's in Gaddafi's son's flat as the war kicks off. It's a very intriguing read. Rocks with possession. We're inside the final couple of minutes. 91-63. It's been pretty comfortable for Glasgow. Surrey offered good resistance for about the first 15, 18 minutes maybe, and then just a little spell before halftime got the lead up to perhaps where it ought to have been given the balance of play in the first half, and it's been growing ever since. I think he thought about pulling up for 3, decided against it, and try and score from the corner, and he does. Nothing home fans like more than seeing a guy who doesn't necessarily get that many minutes get on and get some points on the board. Northern decides against the fast break as we just tick it down. The other thing fans like to see is 100 points on the board.
Especially if there's something like free pizza on offer for that, as we often see. Not here tonight, I hasten to add. Always a good incentive. Always a good incentive.
And as they do at the start of the game, the Rocks fans get to their feet at the end of the game as well to try and roar their team home. Of course, it's sort of deflates a bit when somebody gets an early foul in the first minute. It goes to in the first 10 seconds, or in the final minute.
I still think some positives, though, I think, to take here tonight for Surrey United. One is they've kept fighting. You know, 440, yes, it's fallen away, but we've seen little glimmers here. I think, you know, in the backcourt, Dusha's had a great game, I think, tonight in spells, showing little glimpses out to Mayo. First quarter, made some big shots. Possibly a nucleus of a reasonable backcourt there. And they'll be at home against Durham next Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock at Surrey Sports Park. You know, can they improve on that? Durham, a team that hope to be thereabouts with them to match up wise over the course of the season. They'll look for a few more improvements and to learn from 2 very difficult opening games against Glasgow and Worcester.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the teams that will challenge. It's a pretty tough start for the Surrey United team to go up against two of the teams we believe, for what that's worth, we believe will be at the top end of the table come March, April time. Three in the corner is long, and that should just about, no it won't, because the Rocks don't get the ball back, and goes out of bounds. So they will get one last go at it. Rocks fans desperate to get 100. If I was on the other team, I wouldn't even give them the ball back. Yeah, it's not about running the score up. And that will do it. Finish Rocks 99, Surrey 63. So Glasgow off to the perfect start for them. Their opening game of the season on the 1-year anniversary of this beautiful venue here, the Emirates Arena. And the perfect result for them. Yeah,
celebrating in style tonight. An efficient performance from them. I think we'll see better from them in the weeks to come, perhaps, when they've got a stronger opposition. I think they'll be reasonably satisfied. As for Surrey, well, we knew that we're going to have to improve. Difficult start for them. Can do better, but perhaps with a few additions, perhaps a more competitive team available for them this season.
Yeah, it certainly is. Don't forget that we've got more action coming up for you very soon. Our next game here on BBL TV, Worcester against London from the Copper Box. That's Thursday night, 10th of October, 7:30 p.m. tip-off for that one. And Mark, that promises to be a very exciting encounter.
Yeah, I think Worcester, a team to watch this season. I think one of the teams in contention for the title. London, a young, exciting team. Maybe a few more players to be added to them. If they get the right players, maybe there could be a 5-team race for the BBL title this season. Who knows? Should be a terrific match.
Well, we look forward to that. We thank you for joining myself and Mark here today. It's been a cracking day for the BBL. BBL TV off and underway. Hope you enjoyed it at home. It's finished with a comfortable victory for the Rocks. They've beaten Surrey United by 99 points to 63. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at the Copper Box.